everybody, welcome to According to Zehra, where all opinions expressed are according to Zehra. Me. No surprise, but I love to read, and hands down, my favorite genre of literature has to be literary fiction. These texts, they focus on everyday folk doing everyday things, but coming to these mind-blowing realizations and undergoing these crazy transformations. What I love most about the genre is its ability to make ordinary things just so magical, just so fun to read. Good literary fiction is just as arguably escapist as high fantasy for me. Like, I just feel as transported and as mesmerized when I'm reading some really good literary fiction. However, because the genre is primarily focused on style, on literary merit, on depth, there is a lot of gatekeeping and snobbery amongst the readers. Today, however, I thought, why don't we just break down this pretentious genre into its most prevalent tropes? Because tropes exist nevertheless across all forms of literature. It's just very difficult to be extraordinary or original in this world. No matter how unique or profound these texts try to be, there still exists some common patterns that we find across the genre. I love tier ranking videos, I find them so entertaining, so I've created this literary fiction trope tier ranking template. You can find it in the description box below if you're interested in ranking all of these tropes yourself. But for now, let's go through the tiers. I've got my computer here. Okay, why don't we just begin by going through the tiers? Of course, we've got a regular classic 5-tier system going on here. The first one we have here at the bottom is in the bargain bin. Now, because literary fiction doesn't normally have a very large consumer base, oftentimes when you go into any bookstore, one of the main genres within the bargain section tends to be literary fiction. You can get a lot of $5, $10 hardbacks, at least where I live, in the bargain bin, in the bargain area. So that's what we've got at the bottom. And these tropes, just in sad faith, never really hit for me. They never really strike home in any sort of way. Next up, we've got Grades in English class, the direct tier above the bargain bin. Now, what normally appeals to a 16-year-old is very different than what normally appeals to anyone else. So these tropes are probably going to be things that I may have once loved or enjoyed, but now are a absolute no. On the third tier, the middle tier, is on the nightstand. Oftentimes for me, it takes a long time to actually get through literary texts if they're mediocre. I won't DNF these books, however, I will take a long time to get through them. They're not going to be things I flip through. So they could spend maybe months on my nightstand, just shuffling through the various things that accumulate there. So the tropes that fall here are understandably going to be things that are meh. They don't really grip me, but they don't really force me to put the book down either. After this, we have our fourth tier, the short list. And these tropes are really good when executed well. They cut through the buzz and they stand out and they make it to the top of the shelf. On their top, we have The Best I Ever Had, which are tropes that are almost 10 out of 10. Always my thing. No matter how they're done, if I find out a book has this trope, I will pick it up. No questions asked. I don't need any more selling points. I will grab that book. Okay, first off, we have eye color symbolism. Personally for me, I am one with, if you look at my eyes, they basically look black. They're not really interesting at all. They're probably like super dark brown. So eye color for me, I never really care about this at all. So I'm gonna put this into 10th grade English class. Nothing that I'm normally really appealed by, don't really care. Next up, bodies of water. A lot of times you'll have like ocean settings or characters pondering their thoughts by lakes, all that kind of stuff. And I am a sucker for bodies of water. I am a Pisces. I'm not really crazy about astrology, but I love water, I guess. So I'm gonna put that in the short list. Like, I really like bodies of water. I really like their symbolism. I love the ocean so much. So it's going up there. Next, obscure allusion. So this would probably be characters referencing very obscure things and expecting the reader to know what they're talking about. I get really annoyed by this, mostly because I'm pretty uneducated on all fronts of pop culture. So whenever there's some kind of artist that the character probably likes, or them talking about albums or plays or that sort of stuff. I have absolutely no idea what's going on, and I miss a lot of things, just go over my head. So I'm gonna have to put this on the nightstand, mostly because these books are the ones that take me a little longer to kind of get through. Then we have one of the classics. The STEM fact is a metaphor. We have science being some sort of metaphor, or some math equation being some kind of metaphor. This is very common, and grade 10 English. I feel like it's a little too cliched at this point. Like, once John Green does it, it's over. It shouldn't belong in the genre anymore. We have good old pathetic fallacy. A nice brainstorm going on when characters are revealing they have cancer. I'm gonna put this in grade 10 English because, again, I feel like this is another cliche, and also everybody loves to talk about pathetic fallacy in grade 10 English when we would have our literary devices test. So that's going there. Moving on to some plot devices. First off, we have killing the mentor. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. So I'm gonna put this in the bargain bin, mostly because at this point, whenever a mentor figure is introduced, I'm just gonna assume they die. We have transgressive intercourse. Literary fiction always has this thing where you'll be reading it in public and it'll suddenly surprise you with a super explicit scene, and you'll just have to be looking around to make sure nobody's reading over your shoulder. What comes to mind is Murakami, as do many other authors. So I'm gonna put this on the nightstand because I don't hate it. I just be
appalled by it every time.
We have coincidence, when there's just this sort of like string of faith that's having characters meet again and again, or these strange coincidences happening. And I'm putting this in the short list because I love that shit. I love when it feels like the world is kind of coming together to have this one sort of plot happen. So I'm gonna put it up there because when it's well done, it is well done. Childhood memories. Now we've got these like long flashbacks in between the present of different things, often traumatic things that happened in childhood. I'm gonna put them in the short list because normally I really enjoy them, but there are times where I had to skip over the childhood memories because I don't find them interesting enough, or I prefer the childhood memory phases to the present moment ones. I'm looking at Never Let Me Go. We've got the cough of death. There's always that one writer or that love interest or that mother that just suddenly starts coughing, and you just know that they're going to die at some point in the book. It's going on the nightstand. No, it's going in grade 10 English class. Anything that's sort of cliched is gonna go into the grade 10 English class because some of these are just overdone by now. Sitting in the garden. Whenever there's a veranda, you know a character is about to go outside and just ponder so many things and just have so many profound thoughts. I love how picturesque they paint maybe like suburbias and that sort of stuff on the nightstand, mostly because it doesn't really ever blow me out of water, but when it's there, it's nice. We've got another notorious plot device is the big time jump, where your heart stops beating when you flip to a page and it just says 5 years later, or worse, 10 years later. I hate time jumps, mostly because they give me so much anxiety, and once you get attached to characters, you don't even want to let them go for a few seconds, so time jumps are just absolutely a no for me. However, I also really like pain. That's the thing. I love literary fiction when I am completely in pain. Like, I love when it leaves me in pain, so I'm gonna put it in the short list. Then we have 2 Days and One Night Long. For example, Catch with the Rye. I don't think that can be considered literary fiction, but that's just the first book that comes to mind that's like 2 days and 1 night long. But this is sort of a overarching umbrella term for any really short book that takes course over a short period of time, in contrast to the big, sprawling time jump books. So preferably, I don't really normally tend to like that sort of style of the 2-day style where everything suddenly goes down. However, sometimes it's done really well. And these books are normally super short. I'm gonna put it on the nightstand because sometimes it's done really well and I'll actually be able to go through it. But most times, it takes me a really long time to read short books for some reason. I just can't get immersed in them. Another stylistic form is the 3-page descriptions. Now, I like prose. I like nice writing. However, sometimes the 3-page descriptions are the thing that get me to put the book down. I think this is really author dependent. However, if the author has the confidence to write a 3-page description, then the book is probably good. I'm putting it on the short list. A lot of things are gonna go on the short list, mostly because I tend to not like very few things in this genre, so it's going on to the short list. We have Humans Are Disgusting, and this is just a way of saying really, really gross descriptions. I feel like literary fiction does this often where it'll suddenly just describe something really ordinary or normal as something really disgusting and gross. It normally paints humans in a really grotesque light. Honestly, I'm not a big fan, however, However, it is an indicator of the author's skill. Don't hate me, I'm putting another in the short list. We've got a few short lists going on. I should have mixed these up a bit more. So now we're gonna get into some of our character tropes. So we've got the happy side couple. The happy side couple is normally used as a method of contrasting the utter mess main character, and I'm putting it in the bargain bin, mostly because it's super overdone, and these happy side couples are normally just super shallow. They're meant to be shallow, that's true, mostly because the main character perceives them as shallow. However, I feel like they don't add much to the plot, and there are better ways of making your character look bad. So, into the bargain bin it goes. Then we've got the trope of the first love. Maybe this is a childhood friend, or somebody the character has always loved, and I cannot describe how much I root for the first love trope. That is probably one of my favorite tropes all time. Whenever there's a love triangle, I am always left in pain because I always root for the first love, and they never are the ones chosen. It's always the second character that's introduced. But the first love is my utter favorite trope. We've got the Holden Caulfield. So this is the main character that thinks they're better than everyone, is super cynical, and this is going into the bargain bin mostly because I absolutely hate, at this point of my life now, I absolutely hate this narrative voice. I find it so annoying, so pessimistic, and I just prefer something a little more neutral rather than cynical when reading, so to the bottom it goes. Okay, next up we got the mother. The Adventures of the Mother. So this is the mother character that gets a lot of screen time in the book. You're looking at the mother just doing basic things, interacting with the kids, interacting with her husband, interacting with her friends. And for me, this is gonna go on the nightstand, mostly because I don't really care for it. I've never really found it super interesting. However, there are times where it's really well done, and those are great. So it's going on to the nightstand. Religion as an answer. So these are moments where the character just kind of falls in love with a religion or religious concept. And for me personally, this is gonna have to go probably on the nightstand because I also feel like these are normally really dragged out, sometimes kind of cliche, but when done well is really done well, so it's going onto the nightstand. So we've got more, I believe these are our themes. Family saga. I love a good family saga, like House of the Spirits, like give me that shit. I love a family saga that goes over the course of time and you follow generations. I love it. I'm gonna put it on the short list though, because sometimes it's actually incredibly boring where I don't care about the family. On the other hand, if we just jump a little, the friend group over time, best I ever had. I love the friend group over time. I love friend group over time. I can't describe it. I just love reading about friendship and the way it evolves over the course of time as people take on their different sort of like courses of life and all of that kind of stuff. Like unlike the family, the friend group is normally by choice, and I just absolutely love it. This is one of my favorites as well. Next we have the downfall of the bourgeois family, and that's going into the bargain bin mostly because I'm so tired of reading about white rich people, and this is normally what those books are. Okay, nearing our very end, so we have The Mentor Teaches How to Dream. So these are our Sound of Music type of books, our Dead Poet Society. So we have this mentor comes in and teaches a bunch of kids how to open their eyes and see the world. And this is the best I ever had because I'm a sucker for this. And then we have the last one, Someone Died. That's the plot, and it's either how everybody figures out how to navigate their grief, or you got to figure out who killed who, secret history, i.e. I'm gonna put this in grade 10 English mostly because I don't really love it, but I don't hate it either as still. But I feel like grade 10 me, like the emo side of me, would have absolutely gone bonkers for this shit, so it's going there. That is pretty much my ranking going on here. It's pretty full. I feel like I'm pretty happy with this. If you disagree, let me know. Well, that's my overall ranking for a bunch of popular literary fiction tropes. If you want to do the tier ranking, go ahead. The tier making, the template is down below. Do you agree, disagree with any of the things I've said? Let's talk. Other than that, I hope you're all getting better, doing better, and doing better, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!